Most brands won't scale in 2026, and that's not because of their product, it's because their ads are invisible to the algorithm. Meta doesn't reward good ads anymore, it rewards creative diversity. And if you don't know how Andromeda works, then you won't be able to scale. In the last 6 months, we spent more than $40 million on testing what actually works, and in this video I'm gonna share with you the exact creative framework that we use to scale on Meta in 2026. I'll show you what creative diversity is and why it matters on Meta, and then I'll break down the 4 creative pillars that we use to add diversity to a creative strategy and to scale. First thing you have to understand is that Meta with Andromeda now is giving not just creative ideas but also entity ideas to creatives. Creatives that are similar will have the same entity ID. So if a creative has the same entity ID as a previous ad, then the system, Meta system, this is a slide from Meta, will treat the creatives as the same entity and will share the learnings and delivery, which will likely limit the ability to reach new audience cohorts. So it means that if Meta thinks the creatives are similar, then it's gonna go to the same audience, and you can get better results from that audience, but you can't expand. And obviously if the creatives are very similar, then they're gonna have the same entity ID. But also, like, if you have something like this where it might, like, someone can think, okay, it's actually different, and maybe you even have like a different message here, so it's not the same text and the image is different, but the type of image here is similar. Same with the video, type of video is similar. So if you only have like one format UGC, they're talking to one buyer persona and a couple of angles, they might have just a couple of entity IDs. We know they have different creative IDs, but in terms of entity IDs, creatives like these can have the same entity ID and go to the same audience. And so that doesn't allow you to scale after a certain point, because you will hit a ceiling and you won't be able to expand to a bigger audience. While in the past, one winning ad was gonna continue to expand more and more and more to other audiences. Let's see how you can add diversity and how you can test more and you expand to different audiences and just to a bigger scale. Let's look at an example with a meal kit brand. And let's look at the personas, the angles, awareness levels, and format. In this example, we'll take a busy mom and a gym bro. We'll take these angles, pain points, like main angles, like saving time, removing decision fatigue, feeling better. Obviously, there are more, but we'll show an example with this. You have unaware people where basically they don't connect their problem to the solution yet, and they don't really understand they have a problem yet. So basically you want to use something like, why do I feel exhausted every evening even though I try to eat better? So like they really don't know what's the problem, and so like you can talk about the frustration that they have, and then you present like the problem. You make them understand the reason why you feel this way. It's because you have this problem, and then you can introduce the solution. Then you have people are problem aware, so they know they have a problem, and you're going to talk about that, and then you're going to add the solution later. So I want to eat healthy, but deciding what to cook after work is draining. Then you have people that are solution aware, so they know possible solutions exist, but they see trade-offs. So meal planning and grocery shopping help, but they take too much time, so they know other solutions, and you can position your solution as better. And then people that are product aware, and they may know other meal kits, but maybe they are skeptical or they are comparing and deciding which one to choose. So yeah, I have seen meal kits, but I worry they will not fit my schedule or macro. Once you decide, okay, the persona, you divide the persona, angles, awareness levels. This is a very simple way. I'm going to show you later how we actually do it, but that also helps you, because like even just something that simple helps you, because then you can start to add the format too, like formats you can use, and especially you can start to say, I'm going to talk with this buyer persona, busy moms, that want to save time. This is the angle I'm going to choose. I can also choose another one, and that have this awareness level, so they are problem aware, and I'm going to use a VSL to communicate to them, or a podcast, or another format. Let's also look at another example for ROAS. So we'll take 3 buyer personas in this case for this example. One is a busy professional, the other one is the health conscious woman, and the other one is a fitness enthusiast. Then in terms of angle, pain point, like the main angles we're gonna use are having like clean, jitter-free energy, optimal morning routine, and replacing coffee without withdrawal. Then awareness levels, we're gonna look at as always, unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware. Like you can even do most aware. Most aware, it's basically just giving a discount or an urgency, just a reason to buy now, basically. For unaware, basically these are people that they don't connect yet their fatigue to coffee or to caffeine cycles. So basically what you want to do is something like start with something like you wake up tired, push through the day, and assume that it's just adult life. Okay, so basically you are framing a state of being, not a cause or solution. You want them to feel identified, and then you're gonna introduce the problem, the solution, and then why your product is the best solution, and then maybe even like a reason to buy it right now. Then for problem aware, you basically, like, these are people that basically recognize that coffee is part of the problem. Okay, so something like coffee gives you energy, then still sit back 2 hours later. And basically here you have a clear problem attribution without mentioning a solution right away. You're going to educate a bit about the problem and explain the problem, and then you're going to introduce the solution. You have solution aware ads where basically these people know that alternatives exist but are unsure or skeptical. You can say something like, there are alternatives to coffee that give steady energy, but most still mess with your system. So maybe like you still say there are some issues with alternatives, most alternatives still are not ideal, but then there are actually a couple of ones that are good, or one that is especially good, and then that's where you can actually introduce your product and or the category of your product, and then why in the specific category your product is the best. And then you have product aware people. For these ones, you basically want to mention the product category and even the brand without selling too hard, and then like you want to convince them that you are the best solution, basically. So you are already looking at a similar type of products. So something like mushroom coffee brands promise clean energy, but you wonder if it actually works. And so like you start with something like this, and then you can say actually you can say what people like and don't like about mushroom coffee, and then basically you can explain that rice is a better solution. Then you have the format. So basically we have persona, angle, awareness level, and format. And so that helps you, because you can basically say, I'm going to do this with this, with this, and with this. And it's just like it's just one of the variation you can do, but then you can also do this with this and this and this. The brands are really scaling, like 8-figure brands, 9-figure brands. They have a lot of personas, so at least like you have 5-10 personas, and you can just target one buyer persona, especially as you scale. Like if you make more than like less than 1 million a year, it's fine, you can target just one buyer persona. But as you scale, you want to add more personas. So for example, let's say you are targeting supplements. In this case, we have like this, like for example, for a client, we have athletes, stress professional, older adults. Like they are very different buyer personas, but there are some products like the one, like the take one that we have as a client, where basically we target all of these, because they like these categories of people, like these buyer personas, still find the product very good for them. It's just like for different reasons. Now with Andromeda, if you target only one buyer persona, you're gonna hit the ceiling, because you are gonna have an audience that is much smaller first, and also Meta is not gonna expand the audience too much when you have just one winning ad for a buyer persona. In the past, it was expanding more the audience as the ad was working better, but now the creative does targeting even more, and if you are speaking to one specific buyer persona, it's not going to expand too much to other people in that audience. Then one big mistake that we see in terms of buyer persona is that they, like, a lot of people use demographics. So they just say, okay, this is a man 25 to 35, and they use a lot of things that actually don't really define the reason why they're buying. So a persona is defined by motivation, pain, desired outcome, lifestyle, buying triggers. But the most important thing is that you have to keep in mind that it's not just age, gender, income. That can play a factor, but a persona is not who they are, it's why they buy. So think about that. Think about why they buy something. And if you have 25 years old and 45 years old that buy for the same reason, the same pain point and everything, that would be the same buyer persona. It doesn't matter if they have a completely different age. Because if I buy something to save time and a 65 years old woman buys it to save time too, and we have the same pain point and everything, we are still the same buyer persona, we still have the same reason to buy. So that's how you want to think about that too. You want to make sure that how you map things is going to help you to understand and understand this strategy and to get learnings from that, and not just like creating some avatars, like some very specific buyer persona that are not really helping you on the strategic side of how to write a script. Then in terms of angles, so most brands use only a couple of angles, but if you see that the brands are really scaled, they use a lot of angles, a lot of pain points, and sometimes it can be hundreds of them. So an angle or a pain point reflects the core motivation behind a purchase. It can be time, energy, confidence, identity, status. Like there are a lot of different things, but and different buyer personas will respond to the same angle for different reasons. So that's why we want to map the buyer persona and the angles. And I'll show you an example with the meal kit that we used as an example before. So let's take the buyer personas here and one main angle or pain point. The main reason why they are buying is that they want to save time, right? But for a mom, for a busy mom, most of the times, the reason why they want to save time is because it can be very stressful to prepare dinner at night, and like it's gonna be a bit different from a gym bro that maybe like otherwise was gonna do meal prep, or a professional that wants basically like maybe save energy for like day of work, or maybe want to relax after a day of work. So even though like the reasons are similar, they live in a different world, let's say. And so how we do that in the creative strategy map, I'm going to show you later. We basically call this as a pain point and not angle, like the main reason to buy, and then the specific one becomes the angle that we use to target them. And something you have to keep in mind is Andromeda and Gem, like new algorithm in Meta, rewards brand that explore multiple angles at the same time, because more angles means that you have more creatives with different entity ideas, and you get to a bigger audience and you can scale more. So to connect personas to angles, we use a creative strategy map. This is how it works. We add the product, it's a product name, and then we have the personas like this, and then for each persona we have the pain points or reasons to buy. Like for most brands pain points apply, for some brands it's more like a reason to buy, but yeah, it's a similar thing. You can also call them angle, let's say. We prefer to define them in this way. And then we have the awareness levels. The awareness levels are always the same. So basically you have unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware, like we saw before. And then you can say, okay, for this buyer persona and for this pain point, if I think about the awareness, the level unaware, then some ideas I have, like some potential angles I can list, are like, for example, here I can say, okay, this buyer persona Main pain point is stubborn weight gain and belly fat, and I can say, okay, unaware, an angle could be your gut might be secretly slowing your metabolism. Another reason that a lot of ads really don't scale to the same level of maybe some other brands that are bigger is because a lot of brands really speak to solution-aware audiences or product-aware audiences, and they don't speak to audiences that are unaware, because 80% of cold traffic is unaware or problem-aware, like especially for some niches, especially if the product is less saturated. And if you want to capture the cold traffic, you want to really scale, you normally have to go for an audience that is less aware. Then obviously there are some niches and some industries where you can scale a lot with a product-aware audience or solution-aware audience. But you the more you scale, the more you have to go closer to unaware or problem-aware, because there are more people there basically. So these are basically people, like the ones that help you to scale, that they aren't aware of the problem and the solution. And as you scale, you'll see you always have to go more unaware or problem aware. I'm gonna show you also an example here where we have as a persona, we still keep ROAS as an example, as a persona, busy professional, angle, clean, jitter-free, energy, to avoid 2 p.m. drop. Most brands create ads that are for only aware customers, like let's say product aware customers or solution aware customers. Let's see an example, like here is why mushroom coffee can help you survive your 2 p.m. crashes. So if you say this, worse than this is saying rise. So if you say rise already, I mean, like for them it's a bit different because like they already have a huge audience, but in general they're not gonna find new people if they say rise, right? Then you can say mushroom coffee, but even if you like start mushroom coffee, you're speaking to people that already know about mushroom coffee. This is obviously a smaller audience. You target someone that's already familiar with mushroom coffee and with the 2 p.m. drops. So in terms of awareness levels, it's someone that already is solution aware or product aware. So brands that really scale use ads that are unaware or problem aware most of the time. So let's look at an example, like a conversation between two people. We can do a skit conversation, for example, or a podcast, something like that, where you have someone saying, man, I feel like after my lunch, my productivity at the office crashes down like crazy. The other person says that's normal and goes by your breakfast, and then they continue the conversation, and that helps the viewer to understand why they have that problem, understand they actually have a problem, and the solution can be a mushroom coffee. Then in terms of formats, these are very important to basically show different ads to Meta, and even if you're speaking to the same audience in theory, then with different formats you're gonna go to part of that audience that consume a different type of content, and also they can just like work better, because if you do like different formats you might find some that work much better. Basically we saw the persona by persona. It basically helps us to understand who we are talking to, then the pain point or angle, that is why they're buying, the awareness levels of when, and the format, that is how. Formats that are more scalable, like doesn't mean they work better, like that depends on the scale you are at, but the formats are more scalable are the ones that are a bit longer ads, where you can basically educate and entertain at the same time. So as you scale, you don't want to sell at the beginning, or you don't want even to mention the product at the beginning. You want to mention that closer to the end. So I'm gonna show you some of our formats. We call them stealth creatives. They don't look like ads initially, and that helps us to educate and entertain customers that are unaware or problem aware. These are some of the formats that we use, like podcast style ads, street interviews, skit conversations, authority ads with like doctor, dermatologist, or something like that. We even have a new set now to like pharmacist ads, and then you have POV format. We have a lot of other formats, but these are some of the formats we use that are a bit different from what most brands use. Then in terms of actors, obviously like you can also like add more variety here. So something we experiment also with, and it works well, for example, for the podcast ads, with skit conversation, also for others, is to use, for example, 2 actors. Or even there, you can even reshoot an ad. Sometimes if you do it a bit differently, it can be recognized as a new ad, new entity ID from Meta if you do the same ad again with a different creator, and maybe you also change something else besides the creator. Ideally, we see very good results with ads with 2 people because the conversations are something more natural, and it helps us to actually educate people and make them understand why your product is the best solution. Something we do, for example, for the podcast ads is we have the expert and the customer. So the expert is challenging the current beliefs and clarifying the objections the customer has, and explains why the product is better than the competitors and why like the other solutions are not the best. And the customer is just like someone that is relatable to someone that watches the video and talks about the problem he or she has. As we mentioned, we find creative diversity basically by looking at the persona we are targeting, the angle we are using, the awareness level, the format, and even like the actors. We basically want to have different concepts, speak to different personas with different angles and different formats. In this video, we saw that creative diversity is very important to scale because you want to have ads with different entity IDs, so they will be pushed to a different audience. And then a very quick win you can do, or something that works very well for several clients, for us, is we can take a winning ad and then just change the format, especially when you use a format is pretty different, and then you can just get an ad that scales much more just by changing the format. At the same time, that's scalable until a certain point, and then you want to also differentiate more on what you're communicating and to who you're communicating that, and not just how you're communicating that. So in terms of what we communicate and who we communicate that to, we basically add more buyer personas and angles to use in the ads. And to do that, we use a creative strategy map like we showed before. If you'd like us to show these in detail for you and maybe do a creative strategy map for your brand, and you already spend more than 50K a month, there is a link below in the description. You can book a call with me and we can take a look at everything together. And if you like the content and you have some questions, then just let me know here in the comments or on X, and I'll create some more content on this stuff. I'll see you in the next video.